So I've been studying with several schools for over 20 years now. I've been teaching wilderness survival stuff to kids and adults for about 15 years. So growing up in Kentucky as well, we lived on a farm. We did a lot of stuff outside, hunting, gathering medicinal plants, stuff like that. Probably a Vermont winter survival trip we took. It was a training exercise. There was 8 of us involved. We basically left for 2 days with just the clothes on our back and a knife. It was mid-February, 2 feet of snow on the ground, high temperatures about 7 or 8, low temperature -20. So basically we had to go out and build a shelter for all 8 of us, acquire materials to make a fire, and a couple of the people hunted. We killed an animal. So basically for 2 days we just kind of lived off the land with just what we had on us.
Do you feel like you were under prepared for this situation? Were you like intentionally under?
No, well we kind of did it on purpose to go with like limited gear so that we would like have to push ourselves, and you know, we had to build a shelter that would make it help us survive in case we didn't get a fire. So we spent most of the day working on a shelter. A couple people were out hunting. We took turns trying to make fire by primitive methods, which took us about 6 hours to finally get success with that. So we kind of did it on purpose as a training exercise. I've been in other situations where I've on purposely put myself in similar situations, maybe not quite as brutal as that. So we do it just to train and make ourselves better, and if you force yourself to do it without tools, then you either make it or you don't. So you're hiking home at midnight if you're uncomfortable. So
Yeah. Okay. How?
because you know, knowledge of place is super critical. So if you are unaware of like what type of terrain you're in, if you haven't been paying attention, you may decide to lay down on some ground that is actually very moist. If you don't know your plants, if you don't know how to recognize that soil is more damp by like what the trees are growing around it and what kind of plants are around it. So you may actually try to survive in a spot that will actually suck your body heat out and put you into hypothermia quicker. So knowledge of place and knowledge of what to look for on the landscape is super critical. So knowledge of how to find a place, whether it's on a south-facing slope, which today if you see the sun shining this way, this is usually a south-facing because the sun is always in the south in the middle of the daytime. So knowing that kind of critical elements will keep you a lot comfortable, because if you go out in the wintertime and you go to a north-facing slope, which is an area that's going to be mostly shaded, it could be 20 to 30 degrees colder, the ground can, in the wintertime and even in the summer. So having a knowledge of what your environment's like, what signs and stuff will lead you to areas that will keep you alive, is a super critical element. I think we're losing in the fact that we become dependent and comfortable on having heat and electricity and buildings that will keep us safe, because you know, if the electricity went out for some reason and we're trapped, or we're even in a city and the electricity goes out from a snowstorm or something happens to the power grid or something, then people actually can freeze to death in their houses, and they may not think so, but you know, a couple days without electricity in the middle of the wintertime, people have died. So even knowledge of how to be inside your house and create a shelter inside your house is super critical, because a lot of people are very leery maybe about burning their furniture or knowing how to stack up their pillows in their living room and create like a shelter inside. So we've become very dependent on the buildings, the electricity. We can wear anything we want to because we think we're going to go from, you know, heated spot to heated spot, and you know, all it takes is like a twisted ankle on a nice little day hike, and you know, you're in deep trouble. So we have definitely given away our knowledge of what we should be carrying around with us by being dependent upon the buildings and the electricity and stuff like that. So an earth dwelling is like your long-term, where you're going to live type situation. So you may have, say you started with a debris hut and you have your debris hut built. Well, you can turn that into your earth dwelling. So your earth dwelling is not so much just your shelter, it's also your state of mind, in that once you become accepting of the earth and learn how to flow with her patterns, she will teach you what you need to do to become more comfortable on the landscape.